Hey, what's up, everybody? Marcos Villegas for Fight Up TV, powered by Stagefront VIP, being joined with Arnold Barboza off his win at the Virgin Hotel, notching up professional win. What was that, number 29, Arnold?
29.
There you go, man. 29 and 0 now. Making a lot of noise, actually, over the weekend, too. A crowded 140-pound division. But I got to get to the biggest thing, man. You were a menace over the weekend. You went up to Rolly, you went up to Teo, you went up to Teo's dad. Let's get into it. First off, I know you spoke a little bit about it post fight, but what prompted you to go and confront Rolly ringside after your fight?
Man, you know what? It's just a lot of frustration, you know what I mean? Like, from being out of the ring and and also, just the way these guys are on social media. Rolly prior to that, I never had a problem with the man, you know what I mean? But like me and actually Rolly were actually we were cool. Every time I see him, we'll shake hands or whatever. But after the fight, I went up to him. I said, "Oh, what's up, Rolly?" And he's like, "You mentioned everyone but the real champion, me." And he started trying to get crazy. And I was like, "Whoa, hold up, hold on." You know what I mean? So Rolly kind of started that one. You know what I mean? But the Teal one, man, it was a lot of frustration. Just built from just everything that's happened and everything they've said on social media and interviews and finally for me to see them in person, it was about time.
Yeah, I'll get to the tail part, but in terms of Rolly, so you guys had that exchange ringside. I would imagine a lot of it was fight talk, but what did you get from that confrontation with Rolly? Because you said like you were cool with him and it caught you off guard.
No, yeah, honestly, I was a little surprised that he was acting the way he did. And then I think too he was acting like that because of the cameras and all that. You know what I mean? But now he's like, now I want to fight him. He wasn't on my list. Now I want to fight him next. Him. I want Tio or him. And then Haney. And then but yeah, man, I just I got really upset. You know what I mean? And that just had my blood boiling. And then seeing Tio's dad, it was even worse. And Tio, and then I seen Bernard getting into it with Haney's dad. So I was like, man, what's going on? Everyone's just like boiling right now.
Yeah, I was actually glad I stayed for the fight because I wasn't feeling too well. I was feeling tired, and I thought, oh, it's a good fight card, but I don't think anything crazy is gonna happen. And then I remember when all that stuff happened, I was like, oh my god, I'm glad I stayed. Like I'm so glad I stayed because so much, like you mentioned, so much stuff happened. Speaking of Rolly, he's a world champ. He had that fight with Barroso. I know a lot of people want to see him rematch Barroso. But given that, he gets a lot of flack from boxers. Primarily, I feel everyone, like boxer wise, says he's not that good. He just has power. What do you make of Rolly's skills in a matchup against you, and how do you guys tussle if it does happen?
Oh man, yeah, Rolly's just, he just has power, you know what I'm saying? But there's nothing that I can't take. You know what I mean? Everything with he'll be down the middle, you know what I mean? I don't think he has any technique, you know what I mean? He's just a wild fighter, you know what I mean? I think honestly, I think he has no chin, you know what I mean? So we'll see. I think I'll stop Rolly, man. So I know that's the fight that he probably won't take, you know what I mean? But you know, we'll see. You know what I mean? If he fights, Ryan, and I mean, the bout becomes, Barroso's, and maybe I can go with Barroso route. Or if he doesn't fight Ryan, and maybe I can fight Rolly. You know what I mean? Man, there's so many scenarios right now, the 140-pound division. You know what I'm saying? But Rolly's definitely a fight I want now.
So take yourself out of the equation. Do you feel that Rolly should rematch Barroso?
I think so. I think so, man. Because the way it ended. You know what I mean? I mean, I would personally, want to do it just because if I was Rolly, because I want to, I don't want no, no questions, to be out there like, oh, you got robbed, he got robbed or whatever. So I think he should, man, and I think Barroso deserves that rematch, honestly.
Yeah, man, Barroso's that's so crazy. Like you look at him and you think he's like close to 50, and you don't expect much from him, and then he starts touching people and like he, like Rolly said, he punches harder than Tank. That he couldn't feel his whole left side after the fight.
No, yeah, man, you could tell the man has pop, man. He has power. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing that I think that Howard Davis overlooked. You know what I mean? I don't think Howard Davis seen him and the way he looked, and Howard Davis like, oh, this is food. You know what I mean? But then he got caught, and then that's it. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, just because you're mentioning O'Hara, he came out with a video. I saw that you commented about it, how he said like he said it was taken out of context, but he did say, "Hey, I was up all night, I was sleepy, all the oxygen in the room," and you're like, "I slept like a baby, dude. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, dude, I did. Since Thursday, man. Because I didn't have to. My weight was really good, so I didn't have to work out on Thursday. I still ate breakfast. I still ate, like a little dinner, and my weight was so good, so I just relaxed and I went to sleep good. And I don't know what he's talking about, man. I know what he's talking about. Exactly. I know the casinos do pump air and all that. That's casino though, bro. But in the room, I don't think they're pumping air for you to stay up. You know what I mean? So I mean, I slept good. You know what I mean? And I mean, who knows, man? I mean, he just maybe was wanted to be on his phone. I guess I don't know.
So that confrontation with Rolly happens. The main event happens. It ends the way it ends, and then you confront Teo and his dad after the fact, or did you have an altercation with them at the fight beforehand?
I think it was right, like literally right after. I think it was right after Rolly, or right before Rolly. I think it was. Or yeah, I think it was like him. I think it was Teal's dad first because I remember I remember the main event was happening and I think Virgil had just won, and I was walking down and I seen Teal's dad, and then I seen Teal, and Teal seen me and he took off. He went like I don't know where and left his dad right there. And then that's when I seen his dad and I told him, hey, like what are we doing? You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, who are you? And I was like, what? And I took out my glasses. I was like, oh, really? You don't know? He goes, oh. I'm sorry, you just look different. You look skinny. I was like, bro, like, nah. I was like, nah, bullshit, bro. Like, and then we started going at it. And then, and then and then I ran into Teal a few times in the lobby, like later in the night because, it's a small hotel, you know what I mean? So I was at a restaurant, he was there, and then, my people were there and they were getting, saying stuff to him and stuff like that. So it was just an overall crazy night, man.
Yeah, no, it was. Maybe for those fans that are not in the know, where is all this bad blood on your end stemming from?
You talking about the Teal situation?
Yeah.
Man, it goes back to man, I think like a year and a half ago. When I remember when Teal was first coming to 40, someone has sent me a video of his dad saying that I was a tuna fight, that they're gonna take me as a tuna fight before he fights, like a bigger name, and then so that was disrespectful to me. And then he had went on a podcast, and then I called in, and then me and him had a lot like exchange of heated words. But I think the main thing that that did it for me was when Tio fake retired. You know what I mean? And I was already gonna be the mandatory. I was the mandatory against Jose Ramirez. We were going in a purse bid, but then Haney, we already had got in contact with Haney's people, and we're gonna do the fight with Haney. And then literally like a minute left for the deadline, he says, "Oh, I'm not gonna retire," and he kind of messed up. Now he kind of messed up my money and my opportunity. And now that goes back. He just blew everything up. And just because he wanted to play a fucking game, you know what I mean? And just disrespectful, man, to me. You know what I mean? And disrespecting the sport, always disrespecting the sport, always disrespecting his promoter, always disrespecting everybody, and still, getting what he wants. It's crazy to me. It's amazing to me. But yeah, man, it's just so much that. And then he called me a bum on Instagram right after that, and I was like, okay, like, if I'm a bum, then why won't you make a quick million or 2 million, whatever you're gonna make to fight me then real quick? I'm a bum, right? But he knows, man. He knows it. I give him trouble, and that kid, man, I just can't respect him.
So, okay, just to kind of process the scenario. So when he unretired, I know the WBO made him like a super champion, but you were the mandatory. So when he unretired, does the WBO, do they have to enforce that still, or like what happened there?
Yeah, so he wasn't the super champion yet when he retired. He was gonna vacate the belt. Obviously, the belt goes vacant, and me and Ramirez became number one, number two. We became the going to a purse bid for that fight. But Haney had the option because he was going to come to 140, so he had the option to go ahead and jump Ramirez. I'll just go to number one spot, and basically I'll go number two, and it'll be me and Haney going to a purse bid instead of me and Ramirez. So we had talked. I think it was Haney's dad already. My dad, and then he said he was going to do it. So I don't know if Teo caught wind of it, and he just decided, oh, no, I'm not going to retire, and he blew everything up. And then that's when they made him a super champion, and yeah, that's what happened, man.
So then what happens to the status of you in
It
terms of
just it
fighting for
goes
the
back to
title?
it goes back to normal. Like I basically said number one, Ramirez said number two, and everything basically just went back to how it was, and so now him becoming super champion, he don't like have mandatory, I guess. So I don't think that he can be forced, at least the first fight, to fight the number one, which would be
So
me.
so then you have to fight Jose then, and the winner of that fight has to fight Teo to kind of
I don't
have
know how that
one.
works.
Yeah.
I hope that's how it works, because I would love that. You know what I mean? That's not a bad idea for me. Or they can do interim title. Because I know WBO has an interim title in like different weight classes, like the heavyweight that's fighting. I think Zhang, I forgot his name, Zhang or something like that. He has an interim, so that would be a good scenario as well. You know what I mean? But who knows, man? I'm hoping to land some type of title, soon.
So I spoke to Teo yesterday. I asked him to give his side of what happened, and then I asked him like, well, what happened? Why was there never a fight between you and Arnold? And he made it as he felt you hadn't earned it yet, and he pretty much laid out the example when he was in the position when he was calling out Lomachenko, and Lomachenko told him, "Earn it, get a belt, and then fight me." And Teo was like, "All right, well, I'll get a belt. I'll do exactly what he's asking me to do." And he pretty much laid out that example. Like, look, Arnold needs to get a belt. He needs to actually earn it by getting a title in order to get a fight with me. What is your response to that?
Well, I mean, my response to that is that's bullshit, because why is Jermaine Ortiz getting a title fight with him? You know what I'm saying? To who Jermaine Ortiz have a belt? You know what I mean? Like, no. You know what I mean? Jermaine Ortiz lost to Lomachenko. Like, so Teal, he's full of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Because if that, I mean, I if fuck if they're making super champions, like I said, I should be a super contender then, because I fought guys in the top 10 in my last like 4 fights or 5 fights. If this is the first guy I fought that wasn't in the top 10, like I fought Alex Tostelo, I fought Jose Pedraza, I fought Daniel Zorria, who everyone's seeing what he did to Regis. You know what I mean? So it's like, nah, if you're gonna try to say I didn't earn it, that's BS, man. Because I've seen people get title shots that fought in less competition than what I fought. You know what I mean? So he can't say that, man. He's BSing, because he gave Jermaine Ortiz a shot. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, does he have a belt? We trying, you know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like, you don't do that. You know what I mean? He's BSing, bro. Like, he's BSing.
Mm. Okay, which takes me to the other question I had. I know for many years you were with Top Rank. Um, for one reason or another, you couldn't get those fights that you wanted, and you made the switch over to Golden Boy. What happened there? Why did you make the switch? Like, what happened with Top Rank? Was it just simply they weren't able to get you the fights that you wanted?
Yeah, man. It was time. It was time. You know what I mean? And, at one point, Top Rank had, all the 140 pounders. You're talking about Teo, Josh, Ramirez. All these 140 pounders. They still didn't give me a fight with any of them. And so they just couldn't. They weren't gonna be able to make it happen. I mean, and I know, and you know what? Credit to them, they did try. I seen messages and I seen proof that they did try to give it to Teal. He just didn't want to take the fight. And so there was nothing else for them to do for me. Like, they couldn't do anything else for me, so they just decided to let me go. And we asked for our release, and they granted it. And now we're Golden Boy, and I think it's the best decision that I've made, man. It's been amazing.
Yeah, you've gotten a lot of press, a lot of push from Bernard, from Oscar, with these fights. But have you gotten an indication as to who's next, and if a solution on their end to the problem that you had at Top Rank? Because they had everybody, they couldn't make fights. Now it's looking like they have a good amount of the 140s, and I would imagine you're hoping the same thing doesn't happen. Have they told you, like, no, this won't happen this time around with us, and here's the reason why?
No, yeah, that's been discussed. And I think the main thing is that Oscar is different than whoever's running Top Rank. You know what I mean? Because Oscar wants to make these fights, and you've heard Oscar be vocal about doing business with the other promoters. You know what I mean? And so Oscar's not gonna have a problem, like reaching out or have a problem working with another promoter, which I think Top Rank did sometime have a problem with that. So so I'm excited, because they just signed Ramirez, you know what I mean? And that's a fight that I've been wanting since I was in, like, I should say, B Mike Alvarado. He's a name that has been mentioned to me since then, so I think, it's a great thing that he signed to Golden Boy. Hopefully that that's a plan. You know what I mean? And I know that Golden Boy is gonna push hard for me if to get a title shot. If not my next fight, then in the near future.
Yeah, I'm getting the wrap up, but to end this, Arnold, in an ideal 2024, how does these next two fights look for you? Who are they against, and what do you do in those fights?
Well, man, we gotta have talk to Eric and see what's happening. I know that there's so many scenarios. You know what I mean? There's the 140 pound stack. You got Barroso, you got Tio, you got Rolly, you got Sabril, you got Haney. Haney doesn't have a fight as of right now, so that can happen. You know what I mean? So it's just so many situations that can happen. So I'm excited, man. To I get back in the gym Monday. I didn't want to take the week off, but my dad made me. So I'm gonna get back in the gym Monday and hopefully fight real soon, like in the next 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah, man. You just got to keep on going, bro. Just got to keep knocking them
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, that's it, man. Just keep fighting. The most important thing is staying active. If I can't get these title shots, these big fights, then I'm gonna stay active. Keep fighting as much as possible.
All right. Hey, Arnold, thank you for checking in with us. Really appreciate it, man. And hopefully, look forward to your return. If not, are you going to make a guest appearance at Teo's fight?
Man, yeah. Hopefully I'll be there. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're
Oh,
gonna want me in
no.
the.
You're
I don't know
going
if
to
they're gonna
cause
want.
so much trouble.
I don't know if they're gonna want me in the building, but you know what I mean. We'll see.
That is Arnold Barboza. Arnold, thank you.
All right, man.